Guys, there's a war going on in the Bitcoin network right now because an update is about to be implemented. And it's time we explain this war in simple terms. What's it all about? The nodes are currently arguing about how much stuff should be allowed to be stored on the blockchain. Let's take a look inside a block. It's really not that complicated. First, of course, there's Bitcoin here, which is called Utexo. And then there's a little container that basically works like a USB stick made of stone. You can really store all sorts of things on it. Contracts, NFT junk, cat pictures, whatever you want. So far so good. Now on one side we have the core nodes. They want to change this little container so that it no longer has a limit. That makes the Bitcoin software leaner. But if there's no limit anymore, then people can suddenly store even more nonsense on the blockchain. And that's why we have the nodes here. They don't want any nonsense. They don't like that at all. We don't want JPEGs and NFT stuff in the blockchain. What's happening here? What's happening here? Why is a big blockchain bad? Feel free to check out my trilemma video on that. So is Bitcoin in danger now? Will the blockchain soon be so stuffed with nonsense that most nodes won't be able to store it anymore? Don't panic. Now comes the crucial point. The nodes are arguing about how big this USB stick is allowed to be. But in the end, the discussion doesn't matter at all because the stick still has to fit into the block. The block size is what matters, and that is untouchable. We realized that in 2017. Man, that was a disaster. The entire Bitcoin industry, pretty much all mining manufacturers, all exchanges and that kind of stuff suddenly wanted bigger blocks. But if you change the rules that fundamentally you'll get kicked out and a whole new Bitcoin network will emerge, just with ridiculous rules. Luckily, most nodes know that big blocks are stupid. And that's why Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision were a total flop. Nobody needs something like that. Okay, hold on a second. This whole topic of rule changes is pretty confusing, isn't it? Why are some nodes cool with each other and others not? That depends on how important a rule is. Let me explain it with a wild party. Imagine a club. Here, we're celebrating the fact that the amount of Bitcoin is limited, that there's proof of work, and that the blocks are small. If you think these things are just as cool as we do, the bouncers will let you in. No problem, you're one of us. The funny thing is, the bouncers are allowed to make up their own little rules. One of them might not like that you have so many dog pictures with you, because he's a raccoon, and raccoons don't like dogs. But then you might just go to another one who doesn't even know what a dog is, because he's never seen one before. So small rule changes mean that a new entrance is created, and big changes mean that a new club is created. For example, the club with big blocks, but nobody goes there. Back to the topic. Up until now, there was a limit on how big the USB stick could be. The core people think this limit is unnecessary and are removing it, because the block size already prevents the chain from ever getting too big. So JPEGs are no longer limited to 80 bytes, but can now take up the full size of an entire block. Does that mean we now have to worry that a bunch of people will store their memes and you won't get your Bitcoin transactions through anymore? No, because there are still transaction fees. They're the best tool against spam. If you want to get into the club, you have to pay enough for admission. But luckily, there are second layer solutions anyway, like the Lightning Network, where transactions are basically free. No matter how you look at it, you don't have to worry. Whether Core or Nods win this dispute, it doesn't matter in the end. Your Bitcoins are safe because the fundamental rules don't change. They'll just be two different entrances to the same club. And if one entrance doesn't let you in, then you just go to the other one. No reason to panic. So here's another video where I explain nods and miners in more detail. Maybe you haven't seen it yet. Check it out. See you next time.